Hello and welcome to the Miscast table. My name is Måns.
And my name is Jonas. And today, Måns, we're back in Beastgrave.
Yeah, kind of. We are back where Beastgrave takes place, at least, in the realm of DÖRR, the realm of beasts.
And we'll take you through the new expansion, Gnarlwood, that we're looking forward to.
Yeah, at least what we know so far, and it's fun to be back in the speculation business.
Yeah, from which we have so many successes.
Yes, we have a few bullseyes from last time, but not all of it was accurate.
We have 2 new warbands that are featured.
Yes.
And the first of them is a destruction warband called the Gnarl Spirit Pack. They are a warband of 4 fighters, which each have unique animalistic connections, animal token, and a theme that goes into their bestial nature.
Yeah, they seem like some kind of shamans that have animal totems and animal connections and stuff like that.
And from what we've heard from the community releases is that they will somehow have abilities that allows them to do something bestial with their totem figure, and then they will inspire into a less powerful state.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see what that means in gameplay.
The wording is that each is a powerful warrior who can let their bestial nature take over for even greater strength before calming back down to inspire. Which is interesting. They probably have some interesting mechanics. So we'll see more about that as times goes by.
Might be something like Sandir's Truth Seekers, where each of them have some kind of unique reaction or perhaps some unique ability.
Something like that, or like spine fins. I can't remember what they're called.
The spine fin soul raid.
Yeah, spine fin soul raid. Because those guys inspire in the they become really powerful in the second turn, and then they go calm back down in the third, and maybe something along those lines. But they're a really cool looking warband, and
the models look amazing. I'm really looking forward to trying to paint these guys. I think that the shaman model especially, and the boar, the one with spear, I like that one.
Pretty cool, and they fit the theme of the expansion as well. And then we have, at least I know that this is your favorite warband of the bunch. We have the skeleton gang, the Sons of Wellmorn.
And I suspect that these guys will be a favorite for many people out there. I think this is one of the cooler death warbands. I think that somehow they managed to always nail the skeletal theme when they release undead warbands.
Yeah, all the skeleton warbands, or all, I guess there's 2, but they're super cool.
Yeah, the Sepulchre Guard, and now these guys. And I think these ones are... I'm betting that people are gonna buy this box just to get these into Age of Sigmar and possibly Warhammer.
Yeah, and I love the lore for these guys as well. That they're the father and there's 3 siblings, and they have still a sibling rivalry going even after death. And that's a really interesting backstory for a skeleton warband.
And apparently it's gonna be a mechanic for how they function in game as well. I think that they have released previews of the leader Wellmorn, that when he makes and has made an activation, then he becomes a resource for all of the other fighters, and he can support them, counts as a supporting fighter, and allowing them to excel in battle.
Yeah, and just like with the other warband, they're dropping subtle hints into the text. They say the Graveguard sons whose sibling rivalry drives them to one-up each other and crash over enemy warbands as a cohesive whole. So I hope they baked in that sibling rivalry in a fun way.
In some rules, and judging from how the previous warbands that we've seen have functioned, I think that they are on the right track. I mean, the abilities on each of the new warbands is interesting. You have plenty of stuff to do with them, even if you lose out on a few fighters.
Yeah, and I think that all of the later warbands that Games Workshop has released have been amazing. They're stepping up the game for every season, and it's looking good for this season too, I must say.
Yeah, so no fears on that part. But let's take a look at each of the rules that this upgraded new release is going to bring to the game.
Yeah, and this is a big change, I would say. This is probably the biggest rule change we've had as far as I can remember.
Yeah, Harrowdeep and Nethermaze brought some well-welcomed upgrades with the Gloom tokens, but with this new release we're going to see some core rules updates. There has been some issues for certain warbands that when they run out of fighters, they run out of meaningful activations as well.
Yeah.
So in the third round, certain older warbands are definitely in trouble if they only have 1 or 2 fighters left standing.
Yeah. But now there's a change to that, because now you can keep making move actions even if you have a move token. That is the first change that they have titled Move, Move, Move in the post that they released.
And I don't know exactly what to make of this. I'm not against it. And you mentioned a card for the Elathane Soul Raid.
Yeah, they have a card called Surging Tide, which you score when you have made 2 move actions with the same fighter. And they have the ability to do that without this rule change, of course.
Yeah, but only one fighter.
Yeah.
And now anyone can.
Yeah. So I think that's going to be good. I think that's already restricted in championship format, but it's...
yeah, now it's like an auto-include in every Elathane Soul Raid deck, I think.
Because it's so easy. Yeah, it's so easy to score. So I definitely think... And in any point of the game, it's useful.
Yeah.
And we have another card as well that we talked about.
Yeah, Proud Runner. If anyone is going to play the Eternal format, where you get the primacy from making move actions.
Yeah, if you make a move action that is of 5+, you get the primacy. And the card itself is an upgrade that gives 1+ move. So as long as you have 4 base, every time you make a move action, you're going to get the primacy. And we can make multiple move actions, then you can always guarantee to have the primacy, basically.
And then you possibly always want the last activation, because then you can just snipe it in the last activation. So that's going to be insanely powerful if you play the Eternal format.
Yeah, and I have some other thoughts about this, but I think we can mention the other rule change before we go into that, because it kind of affects the same type of warband.
Yeah, and this is going to be the huge upgrade upgrade is going to be the huge change for Gnarlwood.
Yeah. they're writing there's also a huge change coming, so you're using the same wording.
Yeah.
And they call it charge.
Yeah.
And what was the rules before is that after a fighter made a charge action, they could not be activated again. But now this has changed.
Yeah, so if you have a warband where each and every fighter has made a charge action so that you cannot activate them, with this new rules upgrade, you are allowed to make certain actions and activations with them.
Yes, you are still allowed to make attack actions, and you're still allowed to make guard actions. And I think that is quite that's a big change. And especially, they mentioned some of the warbands here. They mentioned Gore Chosen of Drum and Morgul's Crushes, these like elite warbands, aggressive elite warbands. And I think it's a huge upside for these warbands. They are the ones that definitely benefit most from this.
Yeah, but it's also a fix for certain games where one player might have had a really poor stroke of luck. Like even if you don't play a 3-fighter warband, you might be down to only 2 fighters, and then it's easily to get caught in a situation where you don't make meaningful uses of your third and fourth activation.
Yeah, we have had so many games, like when the third round consists of one player having 1 fighter. And when that is the case, then...
you activate once, you make that charge action, try to hit something, and then you're stuck trying to improve your objective by drawing objective cards and pitching in more drawing power cards.
Yeah, and here you have the kind of the ability to keep playing, or whatever you want to call it, even though we all have few fighters remaining.
Yeah. And I think this might be a good, I won't call it fix, because this is so fundamentally gonna change the action economy for some warbands. There might be issues with some warbands being having too much of an upside from this change.
Yeah, and we should mention as well, I'm not sure that we said that, but fighters can only make a charge action, or they can only be activated again if every fighter in the warband has a charge token. Yeah. That is like the thing.
Yeah, the requirement. So if you are playing Molog's Mob and then you have Stalagdsquig left in the opposite side of the board, then you're not going to be allowed to activate Molog again.
No, and you need to have so everyone makes a charge action. But it also makes it so if you have 1 fight remaining, the first rule change move means you can technically make multiple move actions and...
try to score some objectives, getting onto hexes or getting in close and then making at least 2 attack actions.
Yeah, because it's always that thing that when you when you are in the final turn, you have one fight remaining. You bet it all on that charge action. It doesn't work out, and now you're dead in the water. But now at least you can keep attacking. And I think that for like when you have these weaker warbands, you get charged by a strong fighter. He misses, and you see the opportunity. He's dead in the water. Now I can move in with my weaker guys. But now that's not always true, because he can come back to life if he keeps charging with his other fighters.
So I think it's an interesting change. I'm looking forward to trying this out, because as you mentioned before, those games where you end up with only one fighter and then you just wait it out, that's no fun. You want your activations to be meaningful, and this might be an upgrade to it. If it's I don't know if I think that it's a very like pretty solution to the problem. I think it looks a bit like rushed, but I commend them for the effort of trying to like address this problem at least.
Yeah, and we have some speculations in the end that we're gonna come back to some of these things. But if you found any cards that like fundamentally change based on these rule changes, or some objectives to become better or something like that, please let us know in the comments down below, because it's always fun to see.
We love theory crafting, like talking it out and what card is gonna be. Like,
there's always something that they have forgotten or like oversight.
and our issue is probably at most that we are not experts at every aspect of the rules, so that we sometimes missed out because we thought that we had like the gold combo from Hexbane Hunters. But
but it's fun to talk about.
So please do leave your thoughts and ideas on what is gonna be most impacted by these two changes.
And they have another rule change as well, or a change to the token structure, and they call it Out of the Gloom.
And we should start by mentioning that the Gloom feature tokens are going to be gone from the game. So Gloom is a keyword that isn't going to be left with us, but we will have cover and cover hexes.
And there are no cards that have the keyword Gloom onto them. All of them that interact with the Gloom hexes interact with the keyword cover.
So it was probably intended, and we somewhat expected that Gloom was a Harrow Deep and Nethermaze specific keyword.
We talked about this when the Nethermaze was released, that we hope that they keep doing this with the cover hex set, that they change from like lethal to cover, and now we have the new ones, which are called
Snare hexes.
Snare hexes.
And a snare hex, when a fighter gets pushed into one or gets moved into it voluntarily, they are staggered. And staggered allows an opposing fighter or enemy fighter to re-roll attack die when attacking them.
And you also lose any guard tokens if you're staggered.
That's one of the details that I missed.
So that's one of the things. But it's kind of hard, because when you have a guard token, you can't be pushed back, right? So it's kind of hard to end up in a...
but you can't play push cards.
You can't be driven back. You can be pushed back, but you cannot be driven back, I believe.
I think stagger is one of those mechanics that was introduced in Nethermaze and Harrow Deep that was interesting, but didn't really impact the game all that much.
It wasn't super impactful, but I think it did some difference in like Exile Dead and stuff like that. But it's not like an amazing thing.
It's a minor upside. I mean, like the ability to re-roll an attack die is powerful, but the requirements of like you usually had to make a substandard attack action first, and then you get to stagger something, and that's not really like good action economy.
No, it's not super. But one of the interesting things that come with this rule change is this. In addition, feature tokens now begin the game with the objective side up, which is different from Nethermaze.
And I think that might also be an interesting like new take on the game again. Objective play was like good for certain warbands, but it was kind of bothersome, I have to say, that each and every game you always had them like cover side up, and you almost never wanted to see the objective side. Because it was like always better to have that additional supporting defensive role.
You basically just turn the objectives at the end of the round to score some points, or deny your opponent to score, or you did when you wanted to score some search objectives. But otherwise you played with the Gloom side basically all the time.
And I think that objectives should be like a core mechanic of Underworlds. I still think that they should probably try to fix the the numerical markings on the objective token because it never comes into play.
No, it doesn't come into play. And then we have the amazing nerf to Sudden Revelations.
Yeah.
It is, but it is, the rule change is that when you delve, or at least we think it is, the wording is like this, and then you can make your own mind out about it. But it says like this: you can still delve feature tokens, flipping them over, turning an objective into a cover hex, and vice versa. But a fighter on top of a hex when it flips will be staggered, so watch your feet. And what I get from that wording is that you always get staggered when you delve on objective.
If you're standing on the objective.
Yeah.
There are certain cards that allow you to flip them like next to you.
But even if you flip it and you don't flip it into a snare hex, you still get staggered.
Yeah, I think that is the ruling. Like if you're standing on the objective side and then you want the cover side for some objective card or just the defensive upside, then you are also going to be staggered, and that is going to be impactful for certain fighters because getting one additional defensive side to roll for, like if you're looking for the double sided on the full side on the dice, but then you allow the opponent to re-roll one dice, you haven't really gained any defensive advantages.
No, I think it's a small nerf to the Gloom Hex, I suppose. Yeah. And also cards like Sudden Revelations, for example, when you need to delve 2 objectives. Now when you do that, you impact your fighters negatively as well. It's not like the end of the world, but it is going to make a difference. It's something you need to take into consideration.
Yeah, and I think that might be a change that I do favor. I think that making it a bit more tactical when you want to delve is a good thing for the game.
Yeah, before you didn't really have to you just delve if you wanted to.
Yeah,
but
you
now
always wanted to cover hex, like unless you had a surge objective that specifically required it, or it was the last activation of a action phase.
Yeah,
then it's always better to stand on the cover hex.
Yeah, but now they start as objectives, and if you want to get into cover hexes, you need to dwell them, and then you need to get staggered. Yeah. So there's kind of like another
cost,
level to it. Yeah,
there's like a cost of activating.
And cards like Sudden Revelation, for example, was insanely strong. So to put in them back a peg is fine by me.
I wholly agree. I think that is perfectly fine.
Yeah, but those are the new rules upgrades that we have seen so far. And I must say that I'm positive.
I'm glad that they are trying out new things. That I think Underworlds is a game that isn't perfect by any means, but it has so much potential.
Yeah, but I definitely agree that like they're trying new things, and that's good for the game. It's fun.
Yeah.
I do think like the charge thing, especially for me, is one of those things that I'm not entirely sure about. That could be problematic.
Yeah,
but the other rule changes I'm very happy about.
Yeah, like adding the movement action to a fighter that already has made move actions seems fine, especially since so many reactions already allow you to make multiple move actions.
Yeah. I think for the warband that they have written here, like Gore Chosen of Drom, this is a big boost.
Yeah.
This is definitely not a nerf.
No. And certain warbands are gonna benefit much more from this. I mean, you're never gonna be affected by this if you are playing like the Gloomspite Gits, unless you have had the terrible dice rolls in the previous rounds.
Yeah. That's gonna be incredibly unlikely.
So I think that most warbands are not going to be impacted by this, but those 3 or 4 fighter warbands are going to make good use of this.
Yeah, but I guess it's time to get in some speculations. We have some other stuff to cover, I suppose, but we could do some speculations here.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So we have previously for each of the warbands or for each of the seasons that has preceded Gnarlwood, there has been 4 warband releases. But there is one image that was released in the community post that I think might be a giveaway for a certain upcoming warband.
Yeah, these definitely look like some old Empire models, the cities of Sigmar.
Yeah,
and a gang of explorers in the Gnarlwood.
Yeah, an expedition of some sort. And I think since they released the Hexbane's Hunters, they proved that humans can certainly stand their own even in Underworlds.
Yeah.
And nothing would make me happier than seeing some good old Empire soldiers or cities of Sigmar in the jungles beneath Gore.
Yeah, it's a really fun theme as well when you go into the jungle like Gnarlwood. And I said before that I really wanted Cities of Sigmar, and now we got an Hexbane. Maybe we get another from Cities of Sigmar, so it's gonna make me really happy at least.
Yeah, me too as
well. A lot of humanoids lately.
I think there might be one type of faction that is heavily underrepresented that might make an appearance in this realm. I think that we might see some Angors. Or possibly, like, you mentioned a two-fighter warband?
Yeah, I think that these new rule changes makes it easier to design a two-fighter warband. Because you can make multiple move actions, because you can still activate your fighter after you've charged. So there's kind of potential for that. So I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that we're gonna get our first two-fighter warband. And I think that the Angor Minotaur like route that you're in, I think that's a good one, because they're releasing new Slaves to Darkness models here around the end of the year, I believe. And there they have some new like Minotaurs with spears and stuff. And I think that might tie into it.
Yeah, it would be certainly a good fit. And I think that like seeing some beefy Minotaurs, being able to place them in Gnarlwood, whenever is there going to be a better place to release this kind of warband?
Yeah, and I think it's the right time for it. The rule changes is heavily in favor for doing something like that, and that would be really cool.
Yeah. And like people who really liked playing Mollog and that kind of model, now they get another like beefy fighter, and that's something that we haven't seen for so very long.
No, because I think that we have gotten the new giants for Age of Sigmar. Can't remember what they're called, the faction.
Sons of Behemoth.
Sons of Behemoth, yeah. And you also have some new rules updates for the like knights in 40k. So they've done some really good work with this like or small type of armies. And I think it's time for Underworlds to get their own.
Yeah, let's hope for a like tag team of Minotaur gladiators or really beef things up.
Yeah. I guess we'll leave it at those two. We're gonna guess everyone right. If we don't want to spoil stuff, so I guess we'll leave it at those two speculations, so people have something to look forward to when they're actually released
the content. But we have one good thing left to talk about, and for a long time, people have been looking at this rival format as a fix to not having to buy each and every warband. To get the game of Underworlds going, and it's widely popular.
Yeah, and it significantly lowers the price of entry into Warhammer Underworlds, and I think it's been we haven't played it a lot, but I think it's a great addition to the game, and it's way easier for people to get into it.
Yeah, and if you want to have just a game night and you don't want to spend like 1/2 hour picking together cards and like planning out your deck, it's so much easier to just pick up the cards and then just get the game going.
Yeah,
but there are some changes that are going to be introduced in Gnarlwood. They are going to release a staple that they are going to call the Nemesis format, which is basically the Rivals Plus format, where you pick your warband and then you pick a universal Rivals deck, and then you can mix those two together as you like, as long as you follow the rules for building objective decks and action cards, and then you take it to a game and play.
Yeah. And making the like game more accessible, I'm all for it. And I think it's a way to like spice up the Rivals format in a way, because some warbands are kind of screwed, and this game can definitely balance them out. So I'm all for the Rivals Plus, or what is now Rival Nemesis, or what it's called at this point.
It's gonna be called the Nemesis format. Usually Games Workshop is always like the one that like puts their the final word on what it's gonna be called. So I'm guessing people are gonna adapt to this Nemesis name.
Yeah, but we have one more like it's not like attached specifically to Gnarlwood, but it is kind of like a problem that we see with the Rivals format.
Yeah, like if we take into consideration that people didn't fully, or not everyone liked the championship format because it was too high and like price point to entry.
Yeah, not everyone is like me and buys everything with the name Underworlds on it.
Yeah, and like okay, let's take that for a fact. It was an issue with the game, but then they started releasing these alternative ways of releasing rival stacks, universal rival stack.
Yeah,
like,
and
there was this White Dwarf edition that had a deck called the Patient Lurkers, where you basically could put together one of these universal rivals deck by taking cards from certain warbands and then putting them together, and then you had a rivals deck.
Yeah, and I, in my mind, like the point of rivals is, one, to make the game more accessible, like lowering the price point, and two, making it more accessible but by making it easier to play. You don't have to think about deck building, you grab a deck, you play, and you have fun.
Follow the cards and have a good evening. But then you have these other kinds of like deck which are released from where you like mash them together from different releases, like Patient Lurkers, previously mentioned, requires you to have both Harrow Deep, Nethermaze, Illusionary Might, the Exiled Dead, and Black Powder's Buccaneers.
Yeah, and
that's probably one of the best universal rivals deck.
Yeah, and this is a deck that was released in White Dwarf.
Yeah,
and it is a legal rivals deck. I guess that tournaments could technically like ban it or ban late decks like this, but it kind of defeats the point of rivals in my mind when you have to buy so much stuff to be able to play, and you get a deck that's a lot stronger.
I think that like Maze Breachers and Patient Lurkers is probably, from my point of view, the two stronger universal rivals deck.
Yeah. And then you get the whale problem, like people might like me coming with their fat collections.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want like pay to win, like narrowly entering this scene. If the problem is that people don't want to buy every set, don't release a universal rivals deck that require you to buy every set.
Yeah, because that was the thing that rivals were supposed to fix, at least in my mind. And now they're kind of bringing the pay to win into rivals. But now we've gone on a long rant tangent here. Yeah. But all in all, we are super excited for Gnarlwood. Yeah. If I want to say one more thing about this, is that I'm super excited. I think everything looks great, but I do think that Games Workshop have been releasing stuff too quickly. We haven't almost have time to play the new released warbands. And now they're announcing a new core set. Like, when are we gonna have time to play and paint all these warbands?
Yeah. It's it's a fast pace, and especially with if they continue with this mid-season releases of a whole like box.
Some people might say, why are you whining that we're getting a lot of stuff? Isn't that like a good thing? And I suppose it is, but it's nice to be able to play the stuff that you have and let like the meta settle and see what's good, what's not good. When it goes too quickly, you don't have time to try everything out. You don't have time to paint everything.
And that puts a stress factor on players. Like, you get a certain fatigue from having to get and react to everything that is new.
Yeah, and it's like, I played this week, and then now the next week it's a new warband and new cards, new rules, and like when you constantly have to learn new things, you get like overloaded, and it's
Yeah, it's like a risk factor, but
for us we have a YouTube channel like the way we play Warhammer Underworlds, and I'm gonna buy everything either way. For one reason, because we have this YouTube channel, I suppose, but not everyone wants to spend that much money and like do all the things that a release schedule like this demands.
And I think every warband that they have put out right now is sufficiently good that they should have their own time in the spotlight, and it shouldn't like directly be that there is another new shiny thing to look forward to.
No.
Like when the Exiled Dead was released, you had like everything coming in at once. The Exiled Dead came right alongside the Rat Pack, whatever they call, and the Dark Elves.
Yeah, and you also had a new Rivals deck there as well, right?
Yeah, and then it didn't really take all that long until we got the Hexbane Hunters.
No, and the Hexbane Hunters and Gorshows and Drom came really close to each other as well. The release was delayed a bit on the Hexbane Hunters, at least here in Sweden, or they sold out basically.
Yeah.
So I think they can tone it back a little bit on the release schedule. Like, let the meta settle, let people play with their warbands, and
Yeah, but we'll leave you with that, I think.
Yeah.
Like, we hope that each and every one of you have a good time, looking forward to the new season, and let us know if you think that we are on point in anything in our commentary.
Yeah, or if we're way off. And,
and if you're looking forward to the new Minotaurs and Andors.
Yeah, they're definitely coming. I'm betting I'm betting something on it.
Yes, like when we were fully prepare them out making the judgment call of Chaos Dwarfs entering the Underworlds.
Yeah, but that's not dead yet. That might be happening. But I hope you enjoyed us talking about this new warband and speculating about the future.
And we'll see you all in the next video.
Yeah, see you in Gnarlwood. Bye.